Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for being here with us yet again. Another day and another day closer to that Super Bowl. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam, Ronis with you for the next couple of hours, of course. And Adam, I'll say this to you. If you were ever up for a Hall of Fame vote and you needed me, you needed 40 people, I would vote for you and I would tell you that I would do that. How you doing? How's it going?
I'm fine. I don't believe you on that.
No, I would.
Think,
1,000%.
no, you wouldn't.
I would go out to everyone and I would say, I voted for Adam Ronis. And that's what would happen. And then everyone would believe me.
Well, I think since it would be anonymous, you probably would not and try and throw me under the bus and try and keep me out, even though you know that I am a first ballot Hall of Famer in everything I do.
Yes, everything. Softball, cooking,
exactly, yeah.
Guacamole.
No. Cooking.
Well, hang on. I was going to say making guacamole because I don't know if it's cooking, but making guac.
You never tried it, so you don't even know if it's Hall of Fame.
Watching some movies. Only a handful, though. Not a lot. Only a handful of movies per year. Yeah, you're a Hall of Famer there. How you doing?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm good.
How's it going? That was
I think
crazy.
we all know where you're going with this.
No, I mean, I thought it was going to be, it's a smooth transition because I couldn't believe it yesterday when we got all the reports coming out that Bill Belichick was not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And then in that moment, I thought, I know exactly how I'm going to open the show, and it was 10 out of 10. So I love doing that. But this was crazy, right? If Bill Belichick isn't a Hall of Famer, first ballot, what coach for the rest of eternity is going to be able to be a first ballot Hall of Famer? I don't get it. If you didn't see the news, it's exactly how it sounds. Bill Belichick, he won eight Super Bowls and is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. They voted earlier this month. He fell short of the 40 out of 50 votes needed for induction to the Pro Football Hall of Fame for his first year. This was his first year of eligibility, and he didn't get it. And everyone, even the people probably that don't like Bill Belichick, were just a little bit outraged about this because it is so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's an embarrassment. It's not supposed to be personal when you are voting for these things. And we know there are a lot of people that did not like Belichick for the way he treated the media, Spygate as well, but they won Super Bowls after that. The bottom line is that when you tell the story of the NFL, Bill Belichick's a big part of it. And not only is he in the conversation for the greatest coach ever, he could be. So how does someone with that resume not get in? It's just the whole process is a joke. And it's surprising that this happened. I think everyone was shocked. I mean, we saw all the reaction across not only NFL players, retired players, coaches, and just other parts of life where everyone was just stunned by this. Because again, when you get a reaction like that, that tells you it was a monumental mistake. When even just casual people are saying, what? That means they all know how great he is. And for the outrage to happen like that just justifies everyone's reaction yesterday and today.
It's so embarrassing. That's the one word that kept coming back into my mind when I was reading all of this, because there's reports saying, oh well, it was just no one led a charge to try and make sure that Bill Belichick wasn't in the Hall of Fame. It was just the voting, and it just doesn't feel like it. This looks like score settling for reporters and people in the NFL that didn't like him. It seems petty, and it's just embarrassing. And the NFL should be embarrassed because of this, because these voters, in my opinion, were not acting in the best interest with their votes of the NFL. It just seemed a little bit petty, and it seemed like people wanted to take one last shot if they could at Bill Belichick, and it feels like they took the chance. And at the end of the day, I think that is so embarrassing. And the NFL, I don't know what you can do about it. My whole thing, Adam, too, and I'm curious with this for you, because I've always been someone that across voting in any sport, like baseball, NFL, whatever you're voting for, I've always thought those votes should be public. That you should, if you are going to be able to have a Hall of Fame vote, and it's for every single sport, that you should have to answer, or just have that a little bit public, because people are able to hide behind the fact that no one's going to ever know who did that. and we can have ideas and we can have, rumors going around, but it's never going to be official. So I've always thought that those should be public information that people can see instead of it being an anonymous or, anonymous vote unless someone comes out and shows you or takes a picture of it or screenshot or whatever it is. I just never thought that it was a good idea to have those be hidden. And for this obvious reason, because if people knew that they could see, that other people could see that they didn't vote for Bill Belichick, how much scrutiny, backlash would they face? I don't know.
Oh, they would face a lot. And we see a lot more of the baseball writers putting their ballots out there.
Yes, they do a good job.
Yeah. And trust me, I've been in press boxes. A lot of these guys, they don't know anything about the other team. The conversations I've heard, I was like, wow. Now, fantasy, obviously, we follow every team. So we're aware of everything that's going on. You'd be surprised at how some of these writers, they have no clue about these other teams, especially ones that are not in the division. And this was years ago, and I was like, damn. And some of these people have votes for the Hall of Fame. So I think that's a big part of it. And again, a lot of people, you say whatever you want. People take this personal, and they have agendas. And again, there's probably some people in there just like, nope, I'm not voting for Belichick no matter what. I don't care. I don't like him. But you can't do it like that. You got to look at the resume. He won 17 division titles. Do you think any other coach is going to do that again? I mean, is any coach going to get the opportunity to coach 17 years again? How many times?
Exactly. Maybe not.
So, I mean, just look at the resume, and it speaks for itself. We don't even need to go over it. We'll be here all day talking about all his accomplishments. But, yeah, it's a joke. When you get this much outrage, then you know something is wrong here. And, yeah, it's unfortunate. Now, he'll get in, and the story will be over, but that's not the point. The point is, like, this is an obvious one that everyone sees.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, 6 Super Bowls with the Patriots, 2 more as the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants way back when. And it's just embarrassing. So you'll read stories today. ESPN's done a good job covering it. The Athletic's got a great article out. Yeah,
it's the process, too, because now it pushes other coaches back. The way they do it, there's a lot of...
If Bill Belichick can't get in the first at the first go, we should never have another coach in the NFL be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm not kidding about that. Unless they have the exact same resume, which no one's close, we should not have a first ballot Hall of Fame head coach to go in there again, unless we have another Bill Belichick. If that's how we're gonna do it, that's what I think. He was 333 wins to 178 losses, and that's including the playoffs. We know the career victories, that's second only to Don Shula. I mean, he looked like a lock, and so this was just crazy.
And he was a great defensive coordinator too.
Yes, in every part of his game. So I know people look at Spygate and Deflategate and they say, well, he needs to, I think maybe the voters, hey, he needs to pay a price for both of those things that happened. Even though he kind of already, they gave up first round draft picks. They had to pay a ton in fines, but maybe that's the way they looked at this. But yeah, I can't see any other way where this works. It was just kind of dumb. So what a way to start the show. I would vote for you though, Adam. Don't worry.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
No, I would 100% tell everyone to vote for you. And I'd be very optimistic about it and positive. Yeah.
You told me you did as commissioner and I didn't win anything.
I did. Well, I think it was a little bit that we kind of knew the people putting that on. So I'll say that maybe you weren't allowed to win.
That shouldn't be a factor. Again, this goes back to the whole process with Belichick. It shouldn't matter.
In my mind,
right? The resume speaks for itself.
But in my mind, isn't that enough for you? For me, you were commissioner of the year. How's that? No, not good enough. I wanted the 250.
I want that, and I want commissioner of the decade.
Oh, of the decade?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I can't vote for you on that. I haven't been.
Why not?
You haven't been my commissioner for a decade.
For 2 years.
No.
So what's the threshold? What do we need to get to?
7.
7? Okay.
Yeah, or 10.
All right. Well, that means you have to remain in the league.
You've had leagues that long, though.
Oh, I've had leagues.
Yeah.
For 20 plus years.
So get those guys to go vote for you.
A lot of them dropped out because they couldn't win.
Oh,
not in football. I'm not gonna. So baseball, I dominate. Football, it's one of the. I looked at my record. It's great, but I don't have enough championships, and that's the frustrating part of head to head. It really is. Like you just need everything to go right. That is one aspect of the head to head football that's frustrating. You could have a great year. You have one bad week in the playoffs, and you don't win a championship. And I really don't like that part.
Yeah. Well, remember when we were talking, I said my biggest pet peeve, and it's not even a pet peeve, it's just what makes me really mad, is getting the first round bye or seeing my league mates get it. And then you come in after your first round bye and then you lose. And you're like, come on, I just did all this. It's just like in the NFL, if you get the first round bye, lose first game back. It's just so frustrating. So no, I get it. That's why, in the off season, we'll talk about different ways that you
Yeah, I
can
do want to do that. Like
recreate your
maybe,
leagues.
yeah,
Yes.
get feedback from people. I'm sure
Yeah, I would
people
love
have
that.
different formats. Like I was thinking, even in my home league, just making it 4 teams get in the playoffs and then have
Hmm.
a 3 week total championship between those 4 teams, where whoever has the most points over those 3 weeks is the champion.
You know what? I just did that this year for the first time with the 4 in 3 week championship, and I
Mhm.
will say it was kind of nice
Right?
because when you had down weeks, you weren't just done
You're not done.
immediately
Yeah,
because the
you
down
could have
weeks are
one bad
awful.
week.
Yes, I
Right,
mean,
and then maybe you make
yeah.
up for it the next 2 weeks where your team goes off. So like you could be the 1 seed, right? Have the most points. That
Hmm.
first week, week 15, you have a down week, but it gives you the next 2 weeks to get back to the level that you've played with at the whole season. Because we all know, even
Exactly.
the best teams. Again, I don't think I've ever seen a team in all the leagues that I've played with over the years in fantasy football go undefeated through the entire season. I was undefeated one year until the championship and lost. And I remember the game. It was
Oh,
Lions
that's
Saints.
awful.
It was Lions Saints shootout. And my opponent had like 4 or 5 people in that game, and I lost because of it. I don't remember the year.
Mm,
Obviously could find out. I could, find the box score. It was probably like somewhere in the 2014,
okay.
12, 13, somewhere in that range. So I'll never forget going into the championship undefeated and losing. But I haven't seen a team run the table and win the championship.
Yeah, I haven't either. I had a league mate this year that had a really nice team. I can't remember the duo that, oh, I think it was CMC Jonathan Taylor was the duo at running back. And so for a time, he was really running the table. I mean, because his team just looked like he could not stop. But then, Jonathan Taylor slowed down a little bit at the end there. But yeah, I just think we'll have that conversation. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys at Valenzuela 17 at Adam Ronis when we do it, but just talking through different ways. And that's why it's always fun with leagues, Adam, is that, and listen, you need to do it early. You can't spring this on people, mid-August, a couple weeks
Oh,
before the season starts. You need to put this to a vote as commissioner. If anyone that's listening is a commissioner, if you're thinking about doing this, it's not just something that you can do on your own. You need to put it to a vote, get the opinions of all your league mates. That's how fantasy football continues to be fun, and you make it fun for everyone. But yeah, making it different, just making your league a little bit different every single year, I think is what keeps people involved too. And I think that's important. It keeps it fresh.
yeah, look, you wanted to make sure that it's fun. That's a big part of it. But also, again, I've always said our goal is to try and eliminate as much luck as possible. Anything in life, you're going to encounter luck. And it's obviously going to be a big part of fantasy, but you want to try and minimize it as much as possible to make it as much skill involved. We're never going to completely eliminate the luck. We see it every year, who you play each week, the schedule. You always look at the points for, points against. You could tell which teams are getting lucky. But when we're
Yeah.
talking just one week, so many things could go wrong. And I know people will say, well, that's part of it. That's part of it. But you also know when you play in a home league or in a league for multiple years, you know that there's certain players that are just good every year. And there's a reason for that. They're not just getting lucky, there's skill involved. But as
Hmm.
far as winning a championship, that's where the luck factor comes in, especially when you're talking about 6 teams over a 3 week period. Like you just, like this year in my home league where I had the most points, I had like I had 5 guys miss the week, and then I had
Hmm. Yeah.
Travion Henderson leave the game with a concussion and Kittle leave the game with an injury. It's like, come on, like all that multiplies, and that's what brought me down. And again, I know people are like, well, that's just part of it, but if you have that 3 week period, and yeah, some of the the FFWC does that, which I like, and I
Yes.
play in that
Yeah.
format. So I like that. So again, there are different ways to make things better, make it more fun, and I'm sure people have some ideas that we haven't even thought about. That
Yeah.
I'm always open to different ideas because I have over the years been in leagues, seen different things, talked to people, and I've incorporated those things into my leagues.
Yeah, I have too. I love feedback. And that's why, as a commissioner, you just have to always be open to feedback. And it's just
Yes.
something that you have to continue to just, let change happen
But the
and
important
just bring
thing,
it
you
in.
said it. You have got to institute these rules in the offseason. Someone messaged
Yes.
me recently towards the end of the regular season. They said, hey, all of a sudden my commissioner said this is a keeper league. He just said it now. I said, no, you can't do
What?
that. He's like, what should I
No.
do? Should I leave the league? I'm like, yeah, you should. Like, you
Yeah.
can't incorporate those changes in the middle of the season. You can't say in week 10, all right, this is a keeper league for next year. No,
No,
people
you
didn't
have to
draft
put it
that
to a
way.
vote. Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be done in the offseason.
Yes, and always with a vote, and it's major for mine. It's majority rules. But even when we get people that vote no for some things, I always want to ask them like, hey, what don't you like about this, or like what could make you like this a little bit more? So it's really important to just make it fair, because making it fair makes it fun for everyone, where you don't have the drama and you don't want to have to be worrying about that in the off season. I looked my one team. On an ESPN platform this season, Adam, that I knew was going to go to the championship and win it all, because it was a great team. And I'm looking at this, talk about being unlucky. It was week 15 with Dak Prescott, who scored 11 fantasy points. It was the week that Jahmyr Gibbs had 8. It was the week that T. Higgins didn't even play in week 15, which was absolutely brutal because you were expecting him to. And it was the week that George Pickens had 6.3, one of his lowest outputs of the season. And I was just sitting there and I was like, oh my goodness. And then I was out, and it was awful, because when you just look at the rest of the playoffs and you say, okay, if my team played this team, I would have won this game, and then I would have won this game, and then I would have won the championship. But we're just unlucky sometimes, and it doesn't work out that way. But it was brutal.
It is awful. It's an
Ugh.
awful feeling because for most of the season, you're really good. You feel your team has a chance to win a championship. And then in that first week of the playoffs of all weeks, all those things
Exactly.
happen collectively to bring you down. And again, that's also why we tell people don't give up. Keep pushing, even if you're
Hmm.
0-4. I had a team that went 0-4 one year and won a championship. And you see a lot of people do give up early. They get
Oh
discouraged. They're
yeah,
like, it's not
easily.
happening. It's still a small sample of 4 weeks, and you could easily win your next 6, win your next 7. And again, the goal is to get into the playoffs, because I'm sure some people looked at your team and they're like, damn, this is a good team. I don't know if I'm going to go anywhere.
That's what
And
I
all it
said.
takes is that all those things that you just talked about to bring the team down and eliminate it, open the door for another team who might not be as good. And we've seen it. It happens every single year. And we'll never be able to completely eliminate that. But for example, in the scenario we presented before with a 3-week championship, you might have been able to overcome that,
Oh,
right?
for
It's
sure. Yeah.
yeah, it's because some of those guys probably went off. Gibbs
Oh,
probably had the huge game the next week.
Dak Prescott had 22 the next week. Jahmyr Gibbs, once he got done doing that, had 22 in week 16. It was, yeah, I probably would have.
Because people love the head-to-head element, whether it's a league that's been together for years, the trash talk, the friends, the rivalries. So we're not completely eliminating that because you're doing that in the regular season. But I think once you get to the playoffs, you should have more than 1 week to
I agree.
really determine who the champion is.
Yeah, it's and this is a prime example. This exact roster is a prime example of why you can't celebrate things in week 6 or week 8, because I was looking at this team. Listen to this team. Dak Prescott, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jalen Warren when he was playing well. I had Jackson Smith and Jigba, Emeka Egbuka, and George Pickens with T. Higgins on my bench, and still lost that. So that's again why you
Who
can't
is the tight
celebrate too
end? Or
early.
is there no tight end?
I was streaming. I had Harold Fannin and I had Colston
Okay. Well,
Loveland.
Fannin
So
was really good, and Loveland was great late in the year.
yeah, it was great. I had Jordan Addison. I had my running back, obviously with Jalen Warren as my RB2 was a little bit tough, but looks like I was streaming Michael Carter at some point. Daniel Jones I had on IR. But yeah, it was just you can't celebrate too often.
No, you can never celebrate until you have the money in hand, a trophy, a belt, whatever it is.
Exactly.
That's the time to celebrate.
Oh my gosh.
Otherwise, it doesn't matter. Again, you could dominate the whole regular season. It means nothing. Like, I have a team now that is dominating fantasy basketball. It means nothing
Hmm.
because it happened to me last year where my top 4 guys, including Nikola Jokic, did not play in the playoffs, and I lost by 1 steal in the
Oh, I
semifinals. So
remember
it
that.
doesn't
That was
matter.
tough.
Like, you could be 100 games over 500. It don't mean a damn thing right now because it's all about is your team healthy in the playoffs? And
Mm-hmm.
again, that's why I like Roto Baseball, because it's 6 months of categories, and some
Yeah,
people
that's
don't, because if
nice.
you fall out of it early, you're kind of done. But again, the whole goal of this is to have fun. Yes, we also want to win money and bragging rights,
Yes.
but there are different formats and different ways. And I think commissioners and people who play the game should just always be exploring different formats.
Yeah.
We've done a lot on this channel, on this show, showing different formats, but there are a lot of ways to play. But it really is all about fun, but also about trying to be fair and eliminate some of that luck. So I'm always
Exactly.
looking for ways to improve.
Yeah,
Like
that'll
I
be a
said,
fun show.
I've been doing double headers in my home league for years.
Yeah, we'll make sure to open that up closer, after the Super Bowl. We're still going to be on the air here. So we'll make sure to have a few shows just talking about different ways that you can make your league a little bit, not more exciting, but just make it a little bit different going into the 2026 season. Why not try it out? We've got a ton of news we need to get through too. We've got a lot of offensive coordinator hires. I want to talk about Brian Daboll going over to the Tennessee Titans. What the heck are the Jets doing, firing everyone but their head coach? And the Broncos making a surprise fire as well. We're going to break down these head coach and offensive coordinator hires and fires here coming up next. All right, it is Wednesday. We are getting you ready for that Super Bowl in a couple of weeks, but we are also making sure that you are up to date on all the coaching news across the NFL. We had a couple of hires yesterday, Adam, a couple of firings that I was actually a little bit surprised about, but we can talk about maybe the best one yesterday was that the Titans are hiring Brian Daboll, ex-head coach of the Giants, as their new offensive coordinator. So that was announced yesterday afternoon. He did interview a second time with the Las Vegas Raiders for their head coaching vacancy as well. But he's going to be working now under Robert Saleh, who is their new head coach. He was hired by them, last week or something like that. But I actually, when I looked at this hire and what Daboll could bring more specifically to Cam Ward, I did get a little bit more excited about it. When we're talking offensively, because we always like to know where some of these guys end up, I do think that this is a really good move for the Titans and just for Robert Saleh to bring him in to try and make sure that Cam Ward has the best runway to just get better. Because last season, all the stats that we can look at, it just wasn't very good. But Daboll has a history of working with successful quarterbacks. I mean, you can look down the list of quarterbacks he's worked with, and I know people might not like how he ended, his last head coaching gig. But I do think this is a really good move for more specifically Cam Ward and how the offense could maybe evolve under him.
Yeah, I think it definitely brings some optimism when you're looking at Cam Ward, because again, we were looking at this Tennessee team and like who the coach is going to be, and it's just been terrible since Vrabel left. But
Yeah.
there's definitely some hope here because Dable did a good job with Josh Allen, Jackson Dart this year, and has worked with some other quarterbacks in the past. So, yeah, obviously we need this offense to get better. They were just awful this season, and Cam Ward really didn't have a lot of weapons to work with either. Did start to play better down the stretch, so I think this is a step in the right direction.
3-14 record last season. They haven't reached the playoffs since 2021, and the last time they saw a Super Bowl was 1999. So they want to try and get back there. I don't think it's going to be quite as big of a Super Bowl turnaround for next season, but again, I think the arrow is pointing in the right direction, and that's all you can ask for. Because I didn't necessarily love the Robert Saleh head coach hire, but making Brian Daboll your offensive coordinator does make this a little bit better, especially when we're talking from a fantasy angle. Because you said it, he's worked with Jackson Dart. We've seen him work with, Tom Brady as well, Brett Favre, Allen. He's had a lot of pretty good quarterbacks come his way. And Tennessee, for what it's worth, I mean, it might be one of those things, Adam, where I just say, could it get worse? But it probably could. But
Yeah, I think it could.
they averaged 16.7 points this last season. That's their second fewest since the team moved to Nashville. I mean, it was awful every single time you watched it. There's obviously a lot of team needs for this team. It's not just, we're obviously going to say, well, wide receiver, you have to add someone there. But I do think that, adding a playmaker, wide receiver is going to be important for Cam Ward and his development as well. I like Alec Arminer. I like Chimere Dike. Calvin Ridley is there. I think he's probably going to be more of a cap casualty than anything else, but he really needs a go-to guy who can really truly beat that one-on-one coverage, get down the field for him. I don't think that's going to be their biggest priority, but the development is going to be big for Cam Ward because he was just that whole team was unusable last season for us in fantasy.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder.
I'm
Calvin
sorry,
Ridley might have been one of my biggest misses this year. Actually, I didn't have him as much as I thought, but I had him
That's good.
definitely on an important team. So, and then you look back at what you could have had where you took Ridley, and it was like, what the hell? It's going to happen. But yeah, we were going through most of the season where we're like, yeah, we're not playing any Titans. Like, we just can't do this. We kind of realized that earlier on, like, yep, no Titans to talk about. And then Tony Pollard went on to have that nice stretch late in the year. Again, might have been too late. But hey, if Tony Pollard led you to 8th place in your consolation bracket, congratulations.
Oh my gosh. No, I saw one. Dang it. Where did this go? Someone sent me a photo saying Tony Pollard slander will not be tolerated. Oh, here it is. It's from Evan. He sent me this message and he actually won his league with Tony Pollard in his lineup. It was crazy actually. But he had Achane, Robinson, Henderson. Pollard was in the flex. Yeah, so shout out. Maybe one person in the whole entire world.
So I wonder if did they hold him all year and just kept him on the bench, or did they pick him up off the waiver wire like when someone else dumped him after ineptitude most of the season?
I bet you could have picked him up off the waiver wire.
Yeah,
I think hold on to unless you wanted to hold on to Pollard. This is a what is this? Two running back, 2 wide receiver, 2 flex, 1 tight end league.
Yeah, I don't know. He could have been cut, and then someone just said, "All right, well."
If I had Tony Pollard, I would have rage cut him for sure. What have you done for me? Nothing.
Yeah.
Until the fantasy playoffs.
The first 2 weeks of the season weren't bad, and then it fell off.
It wasn't good. And Tajay Spears, that was also someone you couldn't. It was just, yeah, the whole team was bad. The whole offense was bad for fantasy, except literally week 14. Look at that. 28.1 points for Tony Pollard, 18.2. Then he slowed down a little bit. 10.2, 11.5.
He had 3 straight 100-yard games to open December.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Wow, you didn't see that coming?
No one did.
No.
So up until that point, all right, he had 92 rushing yards a week too. After that, he didn't have more than 67. And then all of a sudden on December 7th against the Browns, 161 rushing yards on 25 carries.
I don't know what happened, but he might have just looked around and said, okay, I'll do this. I'll do this right now, actually. I'm gonna be fine with it. Yeah, I think if we're talking cut candidates, though, it's probably gonna be Calvin Ridley. There's not great memories there, but he did sign that 4-year, $92 million deal in free agency. That was 2 years ago. So he hasn't been as involved. Last season was brutal. So they're probably going to cut him to save a little bit of money. He gets like $1 million bonus in mid-March. So I think they're going to make that decision pretty quickly, probably before that March 1st deadline. But I don't think he's going to land anywhere where we would say, yes, we're going back to draft Calvin Ridley. Maybe he does. No, probably not.
Probably not.
I'm trying to be optimistic here, Adam. I'm trying to say nice things about Calvin Ridley, and it's not happening. But again, good move for the Tennessee Titans, especially for us on offense for fantasy football. Brian Daboll, again, hired as the offensive coordinator. We'll see if he can turn things around for Cam Ward. I mean, Cam Ward's not going to be drafted for us, though. Even with this move, I don't think it moves him up enough to even be in a super flex format considered. Maybe your third quarterback and he's on your bench if you're that optimistic about it, and they make really good moves this offseason where they add to that offensive line, they add to the wide receiver room, but even then, he's going to sit on your bench to start the season no matter what it feels like.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, you could just go through all the quarterbacks, and at best, maybe he's like your second quarterback in a super flex if you really wait. But yeah, we'd have to see a lot more.
Yeah, definitely a lot more. The other firing, or I should say a firing that happened, there were 2 of them yesterday and this one I was kind of surprised about, and I'm curious if you were too, but the Broncos did fire their offensive coordinator, Joe Lombardi, after that AFC title game loss. So Sean Payton said that, a couple days after that loss to the Patriots, lost that trip to the Super Bowl, he said the offense didn't do enough. So again, Joe Lombardi, their offensive coordinator, was fired yesterday. And I was just kind of surprised about this. They had Jarrett Stidham. It was already going to be a little bit of a tough battle for that team to even get through. It wasn't their best outing, but again, you had a backup quarterback. It was his fourth start ever and his first postseason start. So they weren't happy, it looks like, with the offense, obviously. And so they are going to look in a new direction because, again, this is one of the league's best defenses this season, number one in sacks and in the red zone in the regular season. So they want to make sure that their offense is good for Bo Nix when he comes back from that injury. But I was a little bit surprised by that.
Yeah, I don't think you can just look at last week's game and say that's the reason. It can't be because the Stidham situation, but I know Peyton was frustrated with the offense the entire year. They had a lot of 3-and-outs. They had a lot of close one-score games that they just couldn't. They never could pull away from teams, right? As good as their defense was, they never blew. I think they had one blowout.
It was the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, 44-22, if I'm not mistaken.
And when they played the Bengals, too. But the two worst defenses in the NFL, that's when they,
And then they did nothing for 3 quarters against the Giants. All that came in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. But then again, when you just look at the team, I mean, how much better could we have expected it to be? They were... Was it one you said in pass attempts? We talked about it yesterday.
Yes,
was
Bo Nix was
one,
first
right?
in pass attempts, yeah.
Yeah, and considering that, I mean, you'd expect more. So, yeah, I mean, I never got to feel all season that this was a great offense to begin with.
I'm going to be curious. I think maybe they stay in-house then to get their offensive coordinator. It's a little late in the game, but I really want to see who they bring in. So they were 14th in the regular season in scoring. So it's right in the middle, right? It's not awful. 23.6 points per game, 10th in offensive EPA, 12th in QBR. But here's your stat. They finished 29th in 3-and-outs.
I remember seeing they were one of the worst. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, 25% of drives was a 3-and-out. So again, Peyton really did say in that end of season news conference, press conference, that he was frustrated with the team's run game and just kind of with the offense as a whole. So a little bit of moving around here for the Denver Broncos. Again, they did fire their offensive coordinator. So we'll just have to wait and see who comes in. Who comes in for them. I feels like it might be because they have someone in-house right now that's getting a lot of buzz for offensive coordinator jobs. Davis Webb. That's his name. Thank you. So maybe they promote him and try and keep him around.
That's probably what they're hoping.
That's probably what they're hoping for. But again, we'll wait and find. Oh yeah, here it is. Quarterbacks coach Davis Webb. He's still a candidate in the Raiders search for a head coach. So maybe they made this move to try and get him to stay in Denver. But again, a little bit of an offensive coordinator shift. Joe Lombardi was fired just yesterday for the Denver Broncos. So we're going to get another new offensive coordinator in the NFL. I read this stat, Adam. Guess how many new offensive coordinators we're going to have in the NFL next season? Oh, where did this stat go? Oh, I think I retweeted it. Hang on.
I don't know. 12, 14?
18.
Oh, wow. Damn.
18 new offensive coordinators because we still haven't. The Eagles are doing whatever the Eagles are doing right now. They're still looking for someone. The Broncos now. The Browns don't have a head coach yet. We're waiting on the Steelers, the Ravens, the Jets, the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Bills. I mean, 18 is... When was the last time we saw that? That's going to be such big news for us to cover all offseason to figure out how these teams are going to look. And it's not going to be guessing, but it's going to be a lot of unknowns going into next season of how some of these teams and these offenses are going to run.
Yeah, that's why you need to stay tuned this entire offseason. Don't go away.
Wow, look at that. On that note, we will be right back, and we're going to talk more about some hirings and firings. I also want to continue going through, the fantasy football talk. I've got some wide receiver running back surprises from 2025. Some good surprises, some not so good surprises. We're going to break down those names and the other firings from offensive coordinators here coming up next. This is Fantasy Life right here on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. And as always, you've got fantasylife.com with you as well. That newsletter is there. All of our articles are there. Dwayne's got a new article, his My Guys for 2026. Way too early My Guys, but a couple of them I was not expecting. So you guys should definitely go and read that because it is also 100% free. We've got a roundtable over there today as well. So make sure you check it out. We are writing every single day for you guys and making sure that you're up to date on all the news and all the information going into 2026 fantasy drafts. Even though it's January, Adam, it's never too early. That's why I wanted to go through some of the surprises from last season. Some of them good, some of them bad, and maybe our expectations for them for 2026. Starting with, you know what, a good surprise was Wan'Dale Robinson. And it was probably something that people saw coming once we had the unfortunate Malik Neighbors injury. But his ADP, I look back, a wide receiver 65 average ADP, and he finished as the wide receiver 11 last season. So it feels unfair to ask if he's going to be able to repeat that, because if Malik Neighbors is on track to play week 1, you know that he's going to get bumped down the depth chart. But he really did grow his role, and he just looked good doing it too. His average depth of target was a career high 9.1 yards last season. It's usually 5.1. That was in 2024. And he saw a ton of targets, and it was just a really nice surprise for anyone. I had actually no Wan'Dale Robinson. I did not go there. I did not draft him. Not even because of where he was priced. I just didn't even look his way. And for the finish that you got with the price that you paid for him, you were really happy about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Crazy.
He is a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you look at his stats, so this is crazy. So he had the same amount of targets that he had in 2024, 140. 93 catches in 2024, 92 in 2025. The yards went from 699 to 1,014.
That is crazy.
7.5 yards per catch in 2024 when everyone hated him, saying this is why PPR sucks. And then 11 yards per catch this year. Still not a lot of touchdowns, just 4. But yeah, if you did draft him really late, all of a sudden, like every week he was moving up the rankings, as we saw Dart then take over as quarterback. And yeah, I mean, just consistently getting 5-6 catches every single week. So definitely paid dividends if you did draft him. I had 0.
I had 0 as well. And don't you look back sometimes and you're like, why would I not put a flyer on Wan'Dale Robinson at that price, at that range?
Well, I think it was like the 4 yards per catch that did it for me.
Probably. Well, that'll, that helps. It was, listen to this, 76% of Robinson's targets between 2023 and 2024 were within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. I mean, It was just, it was a little bit nuts there. I think they have to keep him. If we're talking about, because he is an unrestricted free agent, I just think if they've been talking for however long about the Giants making sure that Jackson Dart has playmakers around him, don't you think they have to keep him after what they saw last year?
Why did they pay Darius Slayton then last year?
Because they don't make smart decisions sometimes.
Yeah.
I was reading that a comparison for a potential contract is Curtis Samuel. Because undersized second round pick who had that was his best season, and what a time to have your best season right before you hit free agency. He had a 3-year, $34.5 million deal with Washington. I think that's a lot of money, but that's what they're comparing.
They list him at 5'8". He is not 5'8".
He's
I've seen him in person.
Oh, really? What do you think
I was at Giants training camp.
7? 5, 6 and a half?
He might be 5'5",
really?
5'6".
Oh
well,
my gosh.
anytime did you ever cover like high school sports?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know this. You see those rosters, they always inflate that by
true.
2 inches.
It's true.
Like, wait, what? This kid's not 6'4"? What are they talking about?
I just think they have to. I think they should make a really good effort to try and keep him. I don't think it's going to be in the $34 million range, but probably more than 15 per year is what he probably got himself after that season. But he looked good. So depending on where he goes, maybe we'll want to draft him. Maybe, but maybe not. He was a nice surprise, though. There were a few other good surprises that I want to make sure we talk through, but we also have breaking news just now. So Cleveland Browns fans, you do have a new head coach. Might have not been on your radar, but we're going to give you the name of who your new head coach is here coming up next. This is Fantasy Life right here, and we've got breaking news because the NFL never stopped. So like January 28th doesn't matter. We're going to give you breaking news for a new head coach hired for Cleveland and the Browns here, and it is one Todd Monken that I did not see this one coming, but Todd Monken officially getting hired to be the new head coach over there for Cleveland. Obviously, we know where he's coming from, and it's Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. So again, we always like to pay attention to where some of these offensive coordinators land and if they do get these head coaching jobs. So again, Todd Monken is the new head coach for the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if I like it yet or not. I'm gonna have to think about it, but it's an interesting move. Offensive guy going over there. Fired Kevin, or parted ways, I should say, with Kevin Stefanski a few weeks ago. So yeah, an interesting move for them.
Well, we know this. It was one of the least desirable positions in the
That's
NFL.
true.
No one
Yes.
really wanted this job. Now, you could say, well, Todd Monken with the Ravens. Look at the offense the last 3 years, 4th, 3rd, and 11th, with Lamar Jackson being injured for a good portion of the season. That's cool, but there is no Lamar Jackson on this Cleveland
Yeah.
Browns roster. So, yes, trying to figure out the quarterback is going to be the big hurdle here for Monken. So, yeah, a little bit of a surprise. I think I did see over the last day that he was one of the finalists, but I also think there was an assumption that he could go to the Giants with Harbaugh as the offensive
Hmm.
coordinator. So now that
Yeah,
is
yeah,
done.
that's. I thought that's was eventually where he was going to go. That Harbaugh was going to bring his guys over, or at least a few of them. So, and it makes it even more important to pay attention to all these other offensive coordinators, because we said however many there are going to be new offensive coordinators in the NFL this year. It's just here's another break. So yeah, it's now only the Arizona Cardinals and the Raiders not filling their head coach openings, which might mean they're waiting for anyone with the Patriots or the Seahawks. I know the Seahawks, the one that has gotten a lot of buzz is Clint Kubiak. So maybe one, if not both of these teams. It's just a risk sometimes to wait, though. I mean, we've seen it before. There have been coaches where they go pretty far in the interviewing process to become a head coach, and then they just pull their name. It was Ben Johnson. Wasn't that 2 years ago, Ben Johnson? Tried to do that, or maybe it was Slowick, and they just decided to go back. I do believe it was Ben Johnson with the Lions. So it happens, and sometimes if you've got two teams going for one coach, there's only one of them. So it is a little bit of a risk if both of those teams are trying for Clint Kubiak, but selfishly, I hope he doesn't go anywhere. I think he's going to be a Seahawk for life, Adam, and he's just never going to leave.
Yeah,
That's
that's
my
what
thought.
you hope, but we know
Yeah.
that's not going to happen.
Ugh, if they win a Super Bowl, he's gone. Probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll keep paying attention to this. But the Browns, talk about another team, just like we just talked about with Tennessee. Harold Fannin Jr. was good to us at some points in the season. It wasn't always like rainbows and sunshine for us in the fantasy box score, but he was someone that I remember even before the season started, right? We were talking about him. We heard about Harold Fannin Jr. and his potential with this team. And so he was someone that you could have picked up off the waiver wire, been okay with. Quinshon Judkins as well. But Quinshon Judkins did have a bit of a fall off, and then he got injured, which was really unfortunate because I remember I had him in one league and he was my second to last pick. And the only reason I got him, talk about a bit of luck, Adam, was because I was on the clock when we got the news that he would be able to play with the Browns and start the season after the first week. And so I said, okay, perfect. I'm going to make sure to grab him. And so it was another offense that we didn't love. They don't have a good quarterback situation yet. Maybe they do get it developed and good, but receiver wise, we didn't really love Jerry Jeudy. There was only two guys that we were consistently talking about.
Yeah, Fannin was a guy that was on the radar before the season, and it was just a matter for me of would he get that opportunity. And I was a little surprised that it came so quickly for him.
Hmm.
We talked about him as a waiver wire pickup early in the year. Week 1, he had 7 for 63 on 9 targets, then slowed down a little bit, and then picked it up again. And Njoku got injured. And even when Njoku was on the field, like, they just made it a priority. I mean, Fannin was more of a wide receiver the way he played
Yeah.
anyway, lining up in the slot a lot. So, yeah, there was a stretch there where we were ranking him as a top 5 tight end every week late
Yeah.
in the season. And then did get injured late. But, yeah, it was overall a really good year for him. I mean, 72 catches, 731 yards, 6 touchdowns. Again, like you said, it was a little erratic to get there. There were some down periods, but that's the nature of the tight end position, right? I mean,
Yeah,
outside of
of
the
course.
elite guys, that's what you're dealing with at the tight end position.
Yeah, Harold Finn Jr. He took over the starting role in Week 7, and it also helped. I mean, we never want injuries, but it did help. David Njoku was injured, but he did retain that role when Njoku came back into the lineup. That was weeks 10 to 13. He was kind of coming back, and Fannin dominated with that larger role. 9 healthy games. He had a 27% target share. I mean, Shedeur Sanders, those two, they locked in together. Like they were really, their chemistry was good and they were locked in on one another, which really helps because he was averaging 7.1 targets per game. And that only ranked second behind Trey McBride over that period when we're talking about tight ends here. So it was really impressive. He ranked first in targets per route run out of all tight ends, at least 250 routes. And it looked good. He is in early drafts right now, the tight end 6. He might stay there the whole time too. I don't know if he might move up, but I don't see him moving back to outside the top 10 at all.
Yeah, I don't see it either. And he was playing a lot early in the year, even out snapping Njoku in a couple of the early weeks. So from the beginning, they just had a high priority on getting him on the field. So
yeah.
And then there were weeks where once Njoku was injured, he was playing 90+% of the snaps.
That's just crazy.
He played 90% of the snaps weeks 12 through 15, and then 86% in week 16.
Yeah, he could be really, I can't say a steal because I still think he's going to probably go in round 6 for a lot of people, or maybe 7 there. But yeah, he's going to be good next season. He'll be someone to watch. But we're going to continue keeping an eye on all the head coach hirings here. We're going to the water cooler though. News and notes to know coming up next. This is Fantasy Life, and this is the Fantasy Life Water Cooler. This is where we go through all the pieces of news that you might have missed in the first hour, get you caught up, and make sure you are ready to go into drafts in a couple months. I know it's a little bit early, but getting ready for those drafts and making sure you know all the moves going on across the NFL. FantasyLife.com is where you can go subscribe to that newsletter every single day in your inbox. Same with our articles, 100% free there as well. And if you're gearing up for the Super Bowl, we have great stuff for you with our projections, our rankings. If you're doing any more of the guillotines and doing one last final draft, we've got our rankings over there, projections, Friedman's betting model, everything you need to succeed for the Super Bowl that's coming up here in a couple of weeks. Go to fantasylife.com. You can also send us any questions at Valenzuela17 at Adam Ronis over there on X is where you can find us. And I see a couple dynasty questions, Adam, so we'll get to those once we're done with all the news that's been going on here over the past 24 hours, because there has been a lot. And I know we've already talked about Bill Belichick not being a first ballot Hall of Famer. We can complain about that here again in a little bit, but just some of the hirings and firings, we can go through these pretty quickly here. But Brian Daboll was the one that we talked about earlier in the show. He is being hired as the offensive coordinator here for the Tennessee Titans, and this is probably the move out of all the moves happening here today that we like the most. He has experience with really good quarterbacks and helping them develop a little bit. So for Cam Ward, this is a really good move for him. And you hope that it kind of lays a foundation for him to just be better in 2026. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're drafting him and making him a QB1 at all, but we'll see what moves they make this offseason. But maybe in a super flex format, you're a QB2 or maybe 3, put him on your bench, wait and see how it looks. But I think Brian Daboll, this was a good move for Robert Saleh, who is, again, their new head coach, to bring him in as the OC.
The former New York combo. Former New York head coach is now going to Tennessee.
What could go wrong?
Yeah,
what
nothing.
Could go wrong?
I mean,
nothing.
It all went well in New York. But, we know Daboll has worked well with quarterbacks, helped develop Josh Allen. So, it's a step in the right direction. They still need to do a lot with this team and put some good skill position players around Cam Ward. But we did see Ward play better towards the end of the season.
Yeah, it wasn't awful. I mean, it could have been worse. That's my favorite line. It could have been worse. Maybe not in the points department. They averaged just 16.7 points this past season. That was their second fewest since they moved to Nashville. So that can definitely get a little bit better. But 3,169 yards last season for Cam Ward. And yeah, you just hope that They have a lot. They just have a lot that they have to do. It's not just the receivers, but that is one for us in fantasy that we'll be paying attention to very quickly here, because as much as we like Elikano Manor, Chimera Dike, Chigakonkwo as well, if they bring him back, that'll be a big question, but he needs just better weapons around him in order to develop. So again, you've got Brian Daboll going over there to Tennessee as the new offensive coordinator. Didn't hit on this one earlier, so I will say the Jets are still shaking things up here, Adam. They have fired their offensive coordinator, Tanner Engstrand. And I think this is a good move in general because, I mean, the Jets were just absolutely awful in every single department that you could look at. But I'm just confused at this happening so late because usually these firings happen immediately after the season, right? They look through everything that went wrong in the season. They kind of pinpoint what coaches need to move on, what coaches they can retain to hopefully have a better year. But this happening just yesterday is a little bit confusing because you're already way into these offensive coordinator hirings and interviews. So they've parted ways with their offensive coordinator. It looks like they did just make a move to get a new defensive coordinator in there. Per Adam Schefter, it looks like they're hiring former Dolphins pass game coordinator Brian Duker as their defensive coordinator. But yeah, the Jets needed to make moves. I was just shocked to see one happen so late.
The Jets, when it comes to making moves, they puzzle us with everything. I mean, Glenn also fired 7 assistant coaches recently as well. So, yeah, and it's late in the process. But it's the Jets. Are we ever surprised at what they do? And we talk about this all the time, right? Why do some of the same organizations stay relevant for a long time? And perfect examples this year with Seattle and New England, right? Look at what they've done. They made the right coaching hires. They changed the culture, and they're right back in the mix right here trying to win a Super Bowl in a couple weeks. And why do the Jets always remain bottom of the barrel is because of things like this.
Yeah, and that, to me, that starts from the top down, though.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a bad front office and you've got bad ownership, I mean, because I was talking about Schneider on Monday for the Seahawks and just how great that move was. We know how involved Robert Kraft always is, and they don't accept mediocrity. The Patriots don't. So it's just one of those things where it starts from the top down, and sometimes we just have to realize that even some good head coach hires or firings, whatever you want to look at, some teams and organizations just can't win until they realize that, maybe some people just need to sell the team. And until that happens, and I'm really, because to me, one obvious one, obviously the Jets are not good, but I mean, the Arizona Cardinals have been not great for a while. And it just feels like it's just this continuous cycle of not great hirings, let's fire this person. But when ownership stays the same, what's going to really change? And so some teams just aren't going to win until they realize that they need to move on with, presidents and owners and everything else.
And the cycle continues. And that's why these terrible teams remain bad for a long period of time.
So we have only the Las Vegas Raiders and the Arizona Cardinals, and said Arizona Cardinals here waiting for head coaches because Todd Monken was just hired as the Browns' new head coach, something that just broke a few minutes ago. We talked through this, but again, Todd Monken was the Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator. There was some thought, especially with me, Adam, and I think a lot of people, that maybe Todd Monken would have gone with Harbaugh over to his new gig, but he did not, over with the Giants. So he turns 60. Oh, okay. When's Todd Monken's birthday?
February. I know it's February. Let's go.
Why do you know that? How do you know that?
Let's go with the 18th.
No, it's the 5th. How did you know it was February? You read it?
No, yeah, I think I saw something that said he was turning 60 in February.
Yeah, February 5th. So happy early birthday, Todd Monken. Dang it, we were so close. We're going to get those one of these days where we just say it randomly and we don't even know.
Sometime you'll bring up someone and I'll know that they have the same birthday as me.
You did know someone who, was it? No, not Mike Vrabel. Was it a coach recently that you knew? Oh, no, it was Matthew Stafford. There we go. When's Matthew Stafford's birthday?
Oh, yeah, February 7th or 8th? 7th.
Oh, come on. What are we doing?
8th. It was the
I don't know.
7th.
You're supposed to know.
7th.
7th. Yes, you're correct.
Okay.
There we go. We got it. Finally, we got one. But yeah, Todd Monken turning 60 years old on February 5th. And
I got one for you real quick.
Oh, no.
Little Jordan Humphrey, when's his birthday?
Oh, is it January 11th?
No.
Oh, when is it?
April 19th, same as
Why would
mine.
I know that? Oh, dang it. I had the right idea because I thought it was the same as my birthday. So I put mine out there. Dang. Okay. We're going to get it. We're going to get it one of these days.
Let me see if I could find
Give me
someone
one.
in the NFL
Find
with
someone.
your birthday.
Yeah, there's got to be a couple.
Oh, yeah.
Who?
Demario Davis.
Oh, there's no one else?
There's others. Yeah, there's Corey Davis.
What are we doing? That's
Kevin
it?
Boss. Do you remember him?
No. No, like, come on.
Nah, it's just not an important day.
Tom Brady?
Just kidding. No.
Maybe.
I don't even, when is Brady's birthday?
I don't know. Who knows, really?
It probably was late December. Oh, no, August 3rd.
Those were my two birthday buddies for the NFL. That's it?
Yeah.
I'm going to look
Demario
this up.
Davis is good.
No, he's good. It's just there's only two. Come on.
I mean, Marcus Smith, Jake Funk. Just, yeah.
No. Okay. We're moving on. Anyway, Todd, if anyone cared, Todd Monken's birthday is on February 5th. It's coming up. He's turning 60. Also, more important, no, just the same as, just as important as his birthday. He is the new head coach, though, for the Cleveland Browns. We kind of talked through that offense a little bit just recently, but it wasn't one that we were necessarily excited about. We're excited about Harold Fannin Jr. going into next season. He's getting drafted. Early drafts looks like he's going to be maybe around tight end 7. I could really see him move up, though, especially if Kyle Pitts moves to a different team that is not necessarily the best fit for fantasy. If Travis Kelce retires, that's another one. So he could move up a couple spots depending on how that goes. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. It's really a question of quarterback with Cleveland and where they go from here, which I think it will just be Shedeur Sanders, but you never know. But Todd Monken is their new head coach.
Yeah, again, a lot of these teams, it really comes down to the quarterback.
Yeah, speaking to you, Arizona Cardinals, because again, Cardinals, Raiders, the last two teams without head coaches, feels like they're waiting for someone, and that someone is probably Clint Kubiak. I haven't seen, I can look up a list, though.
It could be that, or no one wants to take these jobs.
Well, that too. I mean, so for as much as Las Vegas is in a bad spot, money-wise and draft-wise, they're actually, I mean, whoever comes in there could be set up for a little bit of success. And that roster is not horrible. I'll say that. They've got good pieces on both sides of the ball, right? You've got Brock Bowers, you've got Max Crosby, you've got other guys coming up. So you've got the first overall pick, and you do have good cap space for 2026. I don't think that's it. Maybe the Arizona Cardinals team is the worst job that you can get compared to Las Vegas.
I think Cleveland was probably up there too.
Yeah, but look at them. They got their guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, was he even on anyone else's radar?
I don't know. I didn't think so, but we're going to find out here. I think Vegas wants Clint Kubiak. I think Tom Brady, because he's a part of that process now this year as well.
Yeah,
I think they want to. I think they want to make sure they don't mess it up, because with the number 1 overall pick, most people have them mocked to get Fernando Mendoza from Indiana. And we've got a recent mock draft from Matthew Friedman at fantasylife.com, but it's probably one of those things where he does have talent. Tom Brady's in there for that team now as well. And he's part of this hiring process. And it feels like that's the team that really is waiting for Clint Kubiak to finish this Super Bowl run, which I will be very sad about. I'm going to be honest with you.
Hey, if he gets you a Super Bowl, you'll be fine with it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, if they win the Super Bowl, remember, I'm getting a Sam Darnold jersey. So that'll be in the mail shortly.
Wait. Even if he has a bad game?
Well, I don't think they can win with him having a
Why
bad
not?
game.
Yeah, they can. Have you seen this Patriots offense in the playoffs?
Well,
you don't think they can win 13-7?
Okay, only if he has a good game. What? No, maybe I said if he wins MVP, I'll get the jersey.
Yes, you did say that.
Okay,
and he is the favorite.
He is the favorite. I think that there's a lot that has to go if anyone else tries to get it, because it almost would feel like the game that we just saw on Sunday. JSN had a fantastic game, but it was Sam Darnold that had the better one. Rashid Shaheed, I saw some people saying that they're betting on Rashid Shaheed to get MVP, like two returns, but that would be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not out of the realm of possibility, right? Like, again, this is the toughest defense the Seahawks have faced in the playoffs. 49ers obviously were really banged up. Rams defense had a lot of holes in the secondary. I know you could look at the teams the Patriots faced and find flaws, but I think the defense is legit. So if they can come in there and they have 2 weeks to game plan and they make this, a low-scoring game, and Shaheed, has a special teams return and a big play on offense, it's possible.
Fun.
Again, unlikely, but that's why the odds are crazy. But
Yeah.
You have to envision a scenario where something could happen. I think it could.
Yeah, hey, we're going to be talking about it later in the show. We want to talk about just how you bet the Super Bowl, because Adam, you've got a lot of insight on that. If it's better to do it now, wait till the game gets closer. So we'll have a few of the bets over there, but Clint Kubiak, he's just going to stay a Seahawk forever, and we're never going to have to worry about it. And it's going to be totally fine. Everything's going to be great. The last bit of news here that I just wanted to make sure we went through is that the Denver Broncos did part ways with their offensive coordinator. So it looks like maybe they're going to try and keep it in-house with Webb, but he's also got some attention for a potential head coaching gig as well. Mike McCarthy, I did see this one. He's going to call offensive plays for the Steelers. So Mike McCarthy's already come in, and he said he is going to do this. This team, even with Aaron Rodgers playing quarterback in 2025, they were 25th in total offense, 305.6 yards per game, and they were 15th in scoring, 23.4 points per game. Another new head coach and another question mark about what's going to happen at the quarterback position, because why not? And it's Aaron Rodgers, so maybe we'll have to wait like 4 months to get that answer. We might never know. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure Stafford will not keep us waiting as long.
No, because he's going to return. He's going to, he's going to post on Instagram for his birthday on
February 7th.
Exactly, and say, whatever, Rams fans, I'm back. And we're going to say perfect. And we're going to just keep drafting everyone over there. I don't think he can have the same kind of year that he just did,
no
MVP
way.
Caliber, but
no chance.
But if he does come back, I mean, it keeps Puka Nacua at the very top, probably the one.
Yeah, because that's probably the one concern that you have with Puka is like, oh, what if Stafford does not come back?
Yeah, but it just feels like he is, to me at least. Do you think he's going to retire?
I would think he does come back.
Yeah. I mean, he played so well last year. You might as well just keep going.
Yeah, nice 7.7% touchdown percentage, by far the most of his career. The previous 3 years, 3.9, 4.6, 3.3.
Yeah, but Puka Nacua was still good in those years, so it does. As long as he's there, Davante Adams, another year older, that'll be the question of if he continues to get those touchdowns. How many did he finish with, Davante?
Was it 14?
It was up there. Hang on, let me look.
I think it was 14, if I'm not.
It was
like 14 on
crazy.
60 catches.
Yeah, it was 14. Yeah. 60 receptions.
Absolutely
60 receptions,
insane.
14 touchdowns, and 789 yards. Oh, my goodness. He was so good. I'm going to continue drafting him next year, too, if Stafford comes back. That's the last year of his deal.
So he'll be 30. He's 33. Had a hamstring injury late in the season.
He's aging gracefully, though.
He is, but again, like there's no way he's scoring 14 touchdowns again. I think we all agree on that.
I'll take 10. How's that?
10? The problem is the volume is not there.
No, the volume. No, 60 receptions.
Yeah.
On the year. Yeah, no, the volume was not there.
It was just a lot of force feeding at the goal line. I mean, he missed 3 games, so
yeah, 114 targets on the year for Adams.
Yeah, and only 60 catches though. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, so the last time we saw him, and granted this was with the Jets, but the last time we saw him with 114 targets and he had 67 receptions 2024, but his touchdowns, which is probably, I mean, they're probably going to get cut in half because he had 7. He had 7 that year. And
I could see 7 or 8,
year.
But I also think you do have to worry about him missing games. He's missed games like every year since 2023.
Yeah, he played 14 this season.
Yeah, the hamstring injury late in the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see, but I really do feel like Matthew Stafford would come back just because of how good of a season he had. We can't expect him to do it again, MVP caliber season, but we can hope that he still plays at a high enough level to make everyone that we want fantasy relevant, because that is definitely what we care about. All right, fantasylife.com. Again, the newsletter tomorrow will cover all of these offensive coordinators, hires, fires, all the head coaches being hired as well. So make sure you subscribe to that. All of our articles are 100% free as well. We're going to continue. We were talking about surprises, good surprises and bad surprises in fantasy from 2025. We've already talked about Wan'Dale Robinson, but I did want to go through a few other names and seeing if they can continue it. Juwan Johnson's one of them, maybe one Rico Dowdle as well. We're going to break that down here coming up next. My goodness, a lot of news today, Adam. The NFL never stops. They don't care. They said January 28th, it doesn't matter. We're going to have all these hirings. There's people still getting fired. Offensive coordinators still getting fired. I mean, come on. It's a fun time, though. It is really a fun time of year.
It definitely is, and it's always wild in the NFL, and it seems to get even crazier by the year. And
yes,
this offseason, definitely already wild, and we haven't even hit February yet.
I know. Free agency, that'll be fun. I mean, how many new offense coordinators did I say there were going to be?
18?
I mean, come on. That is just, when was the last time we had anything close to that? Do you even remember?
Because
I definitely don't. 18 new offensive coordinators in 2026 is just going to be, it's kind of baffling right now, to be totally honest with you. So that's why it's important to stay just kind of up to date on what these moves look like and just stay locked in with us, stay locked in with fantasylife.com. But yeah, oh my goodness. And there's still, I mean, the Eagles, Giants, Broncos, Browns, Steelers, Ravens, Jets, Cardinals, Raiders, Bills are all offensive coordinators that have not been hired yet. Woof.
A lot of work to be done.
A lot of work to be done. Oh, I forgot about Drew Petzing. Oh, I forgot about Bobby Slowick. See, this is going to be what happens in like mid-April, and I'm going to say, who's the offensive coordinator? And we're going to have to take a look because that's going to be a lot of names to remember. Anyways. All right. We're going through wide receiver, running back surprises from the 2025 fantasy season. And of course, making sure we stick to our phones. Our great producers are letting us know if any news breaks here while we're on the air. But we were talking about surprises, either good surprises or bad ones from the 2025 season. One good surprise was Wan'Dale Robinson for the New York Giants, finished as the wide receiver 11, was being drafted as his ADP was wide receiver 66. So that was obviously a really pleasant surprise. I know we've talked about Javonte Williams before, Adam, but I did want to bring up that he was also a really good surprise. Probably one of my, I mean, he was one that I just kicked myself for not taking him at the time because it just, he had an ADP of RB35 and there was no reason to not take a shot on him at some points during the draft because he was just so cheap. He finished as the RB11, will be a free agent, but we'll have to see if he goes back to Dallas.
Yeah, I missed on this too. I did not draft him anywhere. I was very surprised that he looked as good as he did. So I think there's two ways to look at it. Number one, you can say, well, how could we have seen this coming? You know, Denver let him go. There wasn't a big market for him. He got a 1-year contract for $3 million. So clearly there wasn't a high demand, and he just hasn't been the same since he suffered that torn ACL. So there was really no indication that he would play to this level. And the other side of it is what you mentioned, the cheap price, where you're talking about, I mean, a lot of drafts he went round 9, round 10.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So you just say to yourself, all right, you know what? He's a starting running back for the Cowboys. They have a good offense, good offensive line. You know, just take the shot, see what happens. And I think that's the lesson here is if you get a starting caliber running back on a solid offense, where everyone is kind of out and discounting, you know, just take the chance. Now, I think Travis Etienne was in a similar position, and I did go in on Etienne. Like,
yeah,
I was,
like him a lot.
I was targeting him, so it would have been nice to have both, right? Then it would just give you nice depth, and you could have. But so yeah, the Etienne one, I was not surprised because of what. You know, he was a top 5 fantasy running back just 2 years ago, and you bring in a new coach. I did not see the Javonte Williams coming. I just really did not. I'm surprised, too, that they gave him such a massive workload.
Oh, yeah.
He was like the only running back for the most part this year that they just rolled with. You know, Jaden Blue, they drafted, didn't even play until late in the season. So he was never on the radar. They clearly were not enamored with him. So it was basically Javonte Williams, the backfield to himself. In many weeks, he was getting 20 touches. And, yeah, it was an amazing season. And good for him. There's other running backs on the market. But he showed that, you know, he could handle that big workload. He's still only 25 years old, too. So,
yeah.
But, yeah, that was, I think, a lot of people missed. There might have been a handful of people who were eyeing Javonte Williams thinking he was a good value, but for the most part, no one was like celebrating when they drafted Javonte Williams. So I think
No,
this
he
was,
probably fell into your lap for some, where
yeah,
you just said, "Hey, he's right here. Let me just take a swing." But yeah, I mean, and the workload was big. I mean, 252 carries on the year. That puts him inside the top 10 in terms of attempts for running backs. Jonathan Taylor, of course, at the very top, 323. Christian McCaffrey at 311. James Cook at 309, just to give you the top three. But it was just a really pleasant surprise, and he just had career highs in a lot of these metrics too. Like you look at yards per carry was set at 4.8 for last season. Rushing touchdowns, he got 11. Rushing yards, it was 1,201. So it was a great fantasy season for him. And again, it was a 1-year deal, so it will be interesting what happens with him and where he ends up. I really, probably the best place for his fantasy value might be staying with Dallas.
it would be.
It probably
I
would.
think
Well,
so.
and for you, yeah. I mean, it really wouldn't it? Because we had no questions. Maybe they bring in someone else because obviously they were not enamored with Jaden Blue. He did not get. I thought he was going to get a little bit more, and that's the other lesson here is that you can't just rookies come in. We get enamored with them, and I definitely fall into this where I say, well, they got Jaden Blue. He's probably going to eat into that workload, and he never did. It was never even close, and
Not even close.
not even
at
close.
all.
He was inactive for a lot of the time. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just one of those things where you learn about it. And the best spot for Javonte Williams might be just staying right where he is if they can have him.
Yeah, I think it probably would be best for his value. We'll see. I don't know. It seems like the Cowboys are now, they don't want to spend on the running back position, which is smart. Obviously, I mean, look, the Javonte Williams, it worked out. A lot of people didn't think it would. It
Mm-hmm.
did. They got him on a cheap deal. Uh, Javonte Williams had 11 rushing touchdowns in his first 4 seasons. He had 11 this
Wow.
year with Dallas.
Yeah, see, that is absolutely phenomenal for him. So that was a really, really nice surprise. Let me throw you a tight end that I know we talked about a little bit, but he might not be at the top of everyone's radar, but Juwan Johnson was also another one for the Saints. I remember we talked about him a good amount, especially at the beginning, middle of the season. And then Tyler Shuck, that team, for what it's worth, had a really nice September, like whole month of September for the Saints. You don't win an award for being just okay, but it was nice to see them end on kind of a high note for December. So he finished as the tight end 8. And again, this also kind of shows just how messed up the tight end landscape always is, because finishing as a tight end 8, you're like, okay, this is why streaming sometimes is your best option. If you wait so long in drafts, don't get the top guys, you can have streamers like Juwan Johnson pick him up. He was the tight end 32 ADP. Average draft position was tight end 32. So not to say that he's going to be necessarily at the top of our radar for 2026, but it was a really good showing from him. With they don't really have a consistent wide receiver 2 option, so he really kind of became that guy for their quarterbacks.
Yeah, the tight end 12 in points per game in PPR. So that's good. And he gave
Mm-hmm.
you many good weeks. And I think if you asked most people, how many catches did Juwan Johnson finish the season with? I think they would get it wrong, and most people would go under. He had 77. That's
Wow.
Yeah, 77. And it started well. I think he was a hot pickup early in the season because he
Mm-hmm.
had 11, 9, and 8 targets to start the year. I can't remember what week Kittle went down. Was it 2 or 3
It was
for Kittle?
2, I think.
Yeah,
It
so
was
I
too
definitely
early.
I picked up Jawan Johnson and Fannin. I spent on both. I
Oh,
wound up
nice.
cutting both though,
Oh,
so that
come
sucked.
on. Wow, when
Yeah,
did you cut Fannin? Because you had someone coming back?
Kittle.
Oh, Kittle coming
So
back.
I should have
Okay.
just kept that second tight end though, because this is a pretty deep format where it's really hard to find stuff on the waiver wire. And actually, in this league, quite a few teams flex a tight end because we got 2 flex spots, so
Yeah.
that could happen. But yeah, Juwan Johnson. Then he slowed down a bit, and then he finished the season strong with Tyler Shuck. I remember playing his prop late in the season, many weeks. Like the last 3 weeks, he had 89, 95, and 61 yards. So yeah, it
Nice.
was a nice finish. Only 3 touchdowns. That was the one thing, and that's going to happen with some tight ends. But yeah, Juwan Johnson was a guy I think a lot of people picked up during the season, and he certainly helped out.
And he signed a 3-year deal just last year, last March 2025. So
Yeah, which is
I
why I think it doesn't always work, but if you followed the money in that case, he might have
yeah.
landed on your roster in a deep league because that's something that I was eyeing. Again, I didn't draft him anywhere, but I was like him and Fannin were a couple of those tight ends outside the top 20 that I was like,
hmm
got to keep an eye on these guys.
Yeah, three, and it was a lot of money. $30.75 million contract extension. He had 21.2 of that fully guaranteed. So that
I
is
think
kind
people
of one
just
of those
hated the Saints
cases.
offense.
Well, which
And
is kind of fair, to be totally
yeah,
honest with you. The quarterback situation alone drove a lot of people. I mean, we saw Chris Olave go in the 6th round. It's like
yeah.
that's how much and a lot of that also was, Chris Olave not being able to, especially last season, the concussions, he wasn't able to stay healthy. So I think it was probably split right down the middle with a health conversation and just hey, new head coach, who's their quarterback conversation with Olave. But yeah, he's someone that's not going to be cheap next year. I think Juwan Johnson still goes outside the top 10 or 12, maybe, but because I don't think people are going to be really in love with the quarterback situation if it's Shuck again. I just don't think that they're going to like that.
I would say, yeah, he probably doesn't go in the top 12, probably just outside it.
Yeah, maybe 13. I'm
Yeah, I
going to
could
do
see
my
that.
tight end rankings here in a little. But for what it's worth, again, I remember last season, it wasn't that long ago, but I was doing the waiver wire article. There was not a quarterback that I wrote up more than Tyler Shuck at the end of the season because his floor was 17 fantasy points. So if you needed a streamer, it really was not a bad option. I think he did enough for the Saints where they feel comfortable enough to roll with him because they have so many other holes to fill on that offense and like on both sides of the ball. They have so many holes to fill on that roster, I should say, where they might feel comfortable enough bringing a little bit more competition, but they might be comfortable just rolling him out for 2026.
Yeah,
And
they might not have a choice.
I don't think it would be a bad move, to be honest with you. Like, let's see what you have.
Yeah.
It's not a good quarterback class. It's not a good free agent class. And I think he showed flashes enough. I mean, Chris Olave was solid last year.
Yeah, had at least 259 passing yards in 4 straight games to finish the season.
Yeah, they had a really nice December. So all that to say, I don't know if Juwan Johnson's going to be top 10. Again, I'm doing my rankings. It's quarterback rankings this week. And oh my goodness, at the end of from 10 to 15, it's just a big giant question mark, Adam. I don't, and some
For
for
quarterback?
my quarterbacks, yeah.
Yeah,
Honestly, 8 to 15 is a big question mark.
we touched upon this, and I said it kind of was similar this year that getting it right in that range is going to be really important because I think
hmm
everyone has a different opinion. I think one person could have a quarterback 8th, and then in the next rankings for the other person, he could be 15.
Yeah,
And same, yeah, then one could have somebody 9, he could be 16 in the other person's rankings. And I kind of felt that's the way it was this year, right? A lot of people had Baker Mayfield 7
definitely.
or 8. Others said, nope, he's going to regress, put him at 14. Some people had Drake May, 8, 9, 10. Others had him 15, 16. Caleb Williams, some people had him 8, 9, 10. Others had him, 13, 14, 15. I think Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy. So that whole range. And it feels like we're going to have a similar discussion this offseason and before the season where these quarterbacks are just going to be different based on
hmm
your preference and where you rank them. So, yeah, it feels like it's going to be very similar to last year where we kind of have that consensus top 6, top 7, and then it really is different depending on whose rankings you're looking at.
Yeah, I'll tell you. And there's some new faces inside the top 10, top 12, probably for a lot of people too, because you're going to have to well, you're not going to have to, but Trevor Lawrence is going to have to be in the conversation for where you put him. Jackson Dart, Justin Herbert now with McDaniel coming over as their new offensive coordinator. So there's a lot of new questions. And then, where do you put Bo Nix? Where do you put Caleb Williams,
Caleb Williams,
Brock
yeah.
Purdy? I mean, Jordan, I'll give you a hint. Jordan Love is definitely inside my top 15 for this article coming out on Friday. So it's and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, some of these we're just gonna have
Where's
to wait.
Dak?
Dak's in there. Come on, I've
Okay.
got
I didn't
Dak
hear
in
his
there.
name. I didn't
No,
hear his name.
he's QB 8
Okay.
actually, and I'll probably move him up. I don't know what to do.
What
I'm
is
gonna
it
put
with Dak?
Patrick.
Is he like people don't find him exciting or something? Or he
Oh
doesn't
no, I'm
run?
fine with Dak. I was more saying I don't know what to do with Patrick Mahomes. I think with the latest news, I'm gonna rank him but other players that we don't know if they're going to be able to start the season, I haven't ranked yet. Like Malik Neighbors, I kept off because we just don't know. But I think for this exercise, I'm going to need to have Patrick Mahomes in here, which is kind of just messing it all up. No, I'm
Yeah.
fine with Dak Prescott. I had so much Dak Prescott last season, and it worked out beautifully.
Yeah,
It
I
was
did
great.
too.
It's fantastic. Yeah, you just get to, you can bet on them and you can draft them in fantasy to make
Well,
you less
look,
sad
and
about
it's
being
not
a
a homer
Cowboys fan.
pick. I didn't even
No.
draft Javonte Williams.
Wow,
So,
good for you. There you go.
well,
Good for
no, it
you.
wasn't good.
Well,
But
nah, that's true.
I never draft with my heart though. You just can't do it. I want to win. But Dak was undervalued again. He typically is.
He really, I think people just hate him too much, where they just, they got to get over that because in fantasy, he's pretty solid for you. And that, I mean,
I
the
know he
defense
doesn't
isn't going to get much
run.
better,
I
but
guess that's a factor, but yeah, you should have known that the defense was going to be bad, and he's got to put the ball in the air a lot.
Exactly. We are continuing on. Speaking of bets, though, I mean, Adam's not going to bet on the Cowboys because he likes to save his money, but we are going to tell you how to bet on the Super Bowl so that you can make money. Again, Dallas isn't in it, so we don't have to worry about it. I'm sorry, that's the last one. I swear that's the last one. We are going to go through how to bet on the Super Bowl and some early bets that you could be making here coming up next. A lot can change in 5 years, but the price of your internet will not. We know that sports are unpredictable. We've got all these head coaching, hirings, firings going on here, but your internet price shouldn't be unpredictable. Get a reliable price for a reliable connection. Lock in 5 years of predictability, 5 years, the same price, no contracts or commitments, because like I said, a lot can change in 5 years, but the price of your internet is going to stay the same. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Restrictions apply. Select plans only. Broadband report, May 2025, XB6 Plus. We win leagues, we win Super Bowl bets. That's what we're breaking down right here. Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Kendall Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you at KValenzuela17, at Adam Ronis over there on X. If you've got questions or comments about the Super Bowl, I've seen a couple Dynasty questions I forgot to get to. So we'll make sure to get to those Dynasty questions as well. But send them our way if you can at KValenzuela17, at Adam Ronis over there on X. We are a little bit of ways from the Super Bowl, Adam. I wish it was this weekend, but it is not. We've got 2 weeks before the big game kicks off here, and I just wanted to take the time now to talk with you about, how to bet the Super Bowl, because again, we're going to go through some of our best bets as we get closer to the game, but you know the ins and outs of betting, and I think the Super Bowl is probably one of those big games that a lot of people really like to get involved in. So I think my first question for you is is it best to start looking now, put some bets in now before it gets too close, or is this one of those games where you just say you can do it all the way leading up to this game, and it doesn't necessarily matter?
Yeah, you can wait. I mean, I've already seen some movement in the player props market, so if there's something you like there, like if you like some unders, you might want to wait because lines keep usually moving up. People tend to bet overs. I do see, though, Kenneth Walker's rushing yards prop has gone down quite a
really?
bit.
Yeah. When did it start at?
I think it was like 78.5. It's down to 73.5.
Wow.
But a lot of others are on the move in the opposite direction. I know Drake May's rushing yards obviously is probably going to be popular because of what we've seen him do here in the postseason. And that's anywhere from 35.5 to 38.5. So that one is moving. So, yeah, I mean, the popular players that everyone's going to be on. JSN, right? Everyone's going to be on him.
Yeah.
It's tough to look at his yards, though. I think one thing that you could look for him that has been consistent this year is longest reception. Receiving yards for JSN right now is anywhere from 93.5 to 95.5.
Wow.
And his receptions is 6.5, but it's juiced heavily towards the over. The longest reception is 27.5 on a couple books, 28.5 on others. So, yeah, I think you just need to be disciplined. I think people get crazy betting like the time of the national anthem, the coin toss,
hey,
the
that one's
color
fun,
of the
though.
Gatorade.
Come on.
You're going to put actual money on them, though?
Maybe just for fun. Maybe for the
that's you.
pod.
I tend to stay away from those novelty
I know you
props.
don't. Yeah, and that's why people get really sucked into this one, right? If your team's not in it, why not look at the betting market to keep you involved? And I think, making sure that if you're making those bets too, Adam, some things that I've read and just always seen, like if you're betting on JSN's longest reception, let's look at the longest completion for Sam Darnold. The last time I saw that, it was sitting at 35.5 minus 115 over with our friends at FanDuel. But just if you're looking one way for something, look at all the other bets that you could make with that. Because if you think JSN is going to have that long completion, let's, on the other side, again, it's not plus money or anything, but look at Sam Darnold. He's got 2 completions of 40 or more yards in the NFC Championship game, 17 this season of at least 36. So if you're looking at 35.5, it's always important when you're looking at these bets for the Super Bowl for anywhere to shop around too, because you want to get the best price that you can. So always, if you're looking at one book, just look at as many as you can to see if you're getting some good value there.
Yeah, and also, like, if you think the Patriots are going to win, who's the likely MVP? Drake May, right? You get better odds betting him for MVP than Patriots money line.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I mean, if that team, if they do win, it would have to be, because on like the Seahawks defense, we're going to be talking about them. They're so good. No one's been running on them. They can't, I mean, you can't get yards on the ground. So even looking at Henderson, or really it'd be Ramondre Stevenson, I mean, that'd be really tough for him to get. It feels like, at least now.
I think his prop was very low for rushing yards, because I think people believe they're not going to be able to run. It was it's 50.5 rushing yards for Stevenson.
Yeah, I mean, that feels right. I was looking at his anytime touchdown, and even that's sitting at anytime is plus 155. Whereas you see Kenneth Walker, JSN, minus 185, minus 110.
I see Stevenson anywhere from plus 153 to plus 160, depending on the book. So yeah, like, it would be, I can't see anyone other than Drake May being MVP.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. And one that I was looking at too, because you know me, I love an anytime touchdown, but I will say I've been seriously looking at the Seattle Seahawks defense, plus 550 over there anytime. That's because not bad. Plus 550. I think by the time we get closer to the Super Bowl, that's going to move, because people are going to realize that this Seahawks defense, they've eaten all season long. They're hungry. They're ready for the Super Bowl. And I think with the turnovers that we've seen with Drake May and just him not looking his best, they've got 2 weeks. I'll give them that. And I think they're going to put their best performance out there on Super Bowl Sunday. But the Seahawks to score a touchdown at plus 550 might be my favorite bet so far. And it might be my favorite bet the whole time.
Okay. Where do you know what book that's on?
FanDuel.
Okay. I see them plus 380 on DraftKings.
Yeah, 550.
Yeah, that's why you got to shop around.
Exactly.
Or how about
one of my favorites.
You want to go even, how about first touchdown Seahawks defense?
Ooh.
Plus 2200.
Opening up like they did against the against Denver in that, when we saw that Super Bowl. Come on. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Quick turnover. I just think that defense is going to be so locked in.
Especially too with Drake May getting sacked 5 times in each of the first 3 playoff games, and you know, a sack, a turnover, a fumble leading to a touchdown. It's certainly possible.
Yeah, so that's one of my favorites right now that we're looking at. We're going to go through, of course, more of our favorite bets for the Super Bowl, but just a little bit of an idea of what we're looking at, how you can, wait until it gets a little bit closer, especially like Adam said, if you're betting those unders, if you're looking at the unders, maybe wait, because a lot of people do like to bet these props up a little bit. So we'll continue talking about that. Want to answer some of these dynasty questions that we have, and just continue on for what teams need to do in the offseason. Eliminated teams, we've got a lot of them to go through, so we're going to continue with that here coming up next. I wish people could hear us arguing about whose baseball team is worse.
No, your team's in the Super Bowl.
No,
in less than 2 weeks, and you're complaining.
Baseball team. That's what I'm talking about. Your teams, yeah. I mean, you cheer for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I will never see another. I'm going to just have to relive those 90 Super Bowls. At least you got a playoff
game recently.
Yeah, great. That's what it comes down to now.
Lost at home to Jordan Love and the Packers.
Talk about embarrassing.
I know. Remember, Dwayne was at that game. Our own Dwayne McFarland.
That's right, he was.
And he went, and that was
I don't even know.
Insane.
I don't know how I would even react if I was at that game. I was at home, and I was just stunned. And I knew they weren't coming back. When it was like 14-0, I was like, yeah, it's over.
But they were favored. I mean, not heavy favorites, but they were favored in that game, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Like 5.5 point. Maybe, I don't know if it got to 7, but that was brutal. And then it was, embarrassing.
Well, I just have to relive the 90s Super Bowls, because I don't know if I'll ever see another one.
Yeah, dust them off. Get them ready. I know. I was talking about baseball. Whose baseball team is more disappointing? It's mine, and it's not even close. Adam, it's not even close.
All right, since they haven't won a World Series, fine.
They haven't been. It's not that they haven't won. They haven't even been. They're the only team in baseball that's never gone.
Well, the Mets have been there. They haven't won
Yeah,
lately.
exactly. Yeah,
But
but
they
you've
haven't won.
gone.
It's
Yeah,
not,
but it doesn't matter.
no,
At least
it's,
you've been there.
no. If
Oh
you don't
my
win, it doesn't matter.
gosh.
I'm
No,
not.
it does because I want to be able to go to a World Series. I don't want
No.
to watch the
Okay,
Dodgers
great.
anymore.
I
do
went to a
love the
World Series game
Dodgers.
and they lost. It is not fun. Okay, spend several
At
$100s
least you're
to
there.
sit there and watch them lose. It is not fun.
By the way, do you think the Super Bowl, I was asking someone this the other day, is the Super Bowl the worst championship sporting event to attend? Because I think it has to be up there.
Why? Because there's.
It's so expensive.
So
I mean, it's so many corporations.
Have you ever been to a Super Bowl game?
So in the context of I have like covered a game, but I've never gone as a fan. Because I was even just glancing.
Oh, so you were in the press box.
Yeah, not even. I was in overflow.
Okay.
It's not. So it was working, so I don't count it. But it has to be one of the worst championship sporting events across all sports.
Yeah, I guess
It
neutral
can't be
site,
great.
right? Neutral site plays a big part.
I don't
where-
know. I think it's the price. I mean, it's
The price too,
$8,000. I mean, it's $8,500. I was looking at those tickets, and probably more now to sit at the very top in Santa Clara for that in that stadium for this game.
But also,
it's just insane.
It's a neutral site, right? Like you
Yeah.
have home field advantage in the other sports, so
That's
that makes
fair,
it
yeah.
a little different too.
I mean, it is just if you ever dreamed about going to a Super Bowl, I don't know how you do that. It's so expensive. I feel bad.
Yeah, no, that's the other thing too. It prices out the passionate
Yeah,
fan or the
exactly.
diehard fans
Exactly.
that might not have the money to attend.
But like World Series is fun. You can go to an NBA championship. You know, it's a series, so I think that's the other hard part too. Is that with the NFL, you don't get the best of anything. It's just this one game, and we're gonna price it accordingly. But yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I was looking at tickets. I laughed. I laughed out loud. Actually, I said, "Oh, never mind. I'm gonna bake a lasagna outside the stadium, and that's how we're gonna do it. And then listen to Bad Bunny out there. It'll be fine."
Oh, so you're not even going to attempt to go?
No, I
too
mean,
much. Come on,
maybe
you have
I'll
a big
try.
salary.
Right.
I know
right,
it's
right,
not
right,
public, but I've
right,
seen
right,
the numbers.
right.
It's pretty.
Oh, I
it's pretty
forgot about
impressive.
that. I'm just waiting for the contract extension. Just like we were talking about with Juwan Johnson. No, we got to work something out. But it's tough, and yeah, Seahawks are in it though, so I'm excited. Sorry. to
Maybe
Panthers.
JSN could help out. We
Oh,
interviewed him
should I
last year.
send
Ever
him
since
our
we interviewed
picture?
him, he's
I
become
know.
like this the elite
Maybe I'll
receiver in
say
the NFL.
we'll get you the what were they doing? It was bounty, but they had chicken. They had
Wings,
chicken
yeah,
wings.
wings
Oh
they
my
took
God,
away
they
from
looked,
us. I'm never
they
gonna
looked really
forget
good.
that.
You were pretty funny though, because you did ask them, and they looked at each other like, "No, you can't have any." No one's actually asked us that. They were cold. It was incredible, man. We appreciate you guys so much. We have so much fun here. We will be back same time tomorrow. You've got RotoWire Fantasy Sports Today coming up next.